to the world economy. An economy like Nigeria and Africa might contribute the highest quota to that because they are projecting about 3.5% for the Nigeria economy and the African sub-region. So um, it's not just bad news all around, but it's opportunities for an emerging economy like ours because a lot of the developing economy seems to see more potential for growth in an emerging economy, especially in times like this that is full with growing.
Now, the IMF is projecting that economic activities in the US and emerging markets will also drive global growth by 3%. Do you share this optimism? And if this is going to happen, what are the factors that will drive this kind of growth?
Well, I share it. Like I said, emerging economy are the toast of most investors this time around. I share that optimism also. What's going to drive growth? I think for the US economy, I think what's going to drive growth is what is already there. The consumer index perfection is going higher by the day. We're seeing that job creation has relatively improved in the US based on their last data. We see that inflation is gradually coming down in a fast way in the US. So those are part of what is driving the kind of growth we see in the United States. And we see that a lot of their industries are also back on stream after the COVID-19 pandemic. Look at a lot of profitability in the US market as it stands at this moment. So a lot of things are growing in the US. For the emerging economy, like I said, it has to do a lot more with the availability of resources, especially mineral resources in this emerging economy that are waiting for exploitation. And also, you look the fintech world, the technology world are looking at this emerging economic as one of the key drivers of growth going forward because of the population, then the consumer and population they have in this emerging economy also is helping global players want to come to some of these emerging economies to be able to tap from the kind of resources that are available in this economy. So for me, that's where my optimism lies. And especially again, it could also help create jobs for these emerging economies like what we are seeing in the US. And the good thing about it is that this growth is not being embarked upon by the United States alone. Even other bigger economy are looking at how they can exploit this growth. You see, China also is looking at coming into this emerging economy. You see, India also is playing a big role also. Before now, it was an emerging economy. You can see the synergy between India and other emerging economy comes in, the Brexit issue. So all these are things that fueling those type of growth that we are expecting that the IMF is talking about.
All right, the IMF, another world lending agency like the World Bank, will be holding a spring meeting next week in Washington. What will you expect as the finance ministers, decision makers around the world will discuss issues related to the global economy? What are some of the critical issues you feel should be put on the front burner? And then what will be the sensitivity of these issues to the performance of the global economy?
Unfortunately, Femi, I don't share those optimism that IMF, G7, whatever meets has it. I feel it's just a jamboree because if you look at most of their policy that have come out, that have not really helped the developing economy or thus far. Because when they meet during the spring, they tend to push out their own agenda to the developed economy, making them feel that you don't have an option, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I think when they meet this time, instead of those policy they will be so concentrated and so involved in trying to see how they can battle out the war from the kind of crisis that we are seeing, the Russian-Ukraine crisis, now the Israeli-Palestine, and even maybe Iran's conflict. I think that would take most of their time than even looking at most economic policy. So in terms of sensitivity, I don't think they've been so sensitive. They've been trying to help the develop. The only time you see them being part of the developing economy is things when things like this happen, trying to gain their support. And like you said, during COVID, how much of their fund did they put into this economy? How much did they really want this developing economy to grow? So I'm not so much optimistic when they bribe and woo people, when they gather there all over, when they try to say whatever they have to say. I think it's always not tilted to the developed economy. They seem to think of their own interest that they will push to the developing economy. And I think that's why I keep saying that the developed economy, when you are going to such a meeting, you should go with the understanding that you are saying, look, we need to partner, not like you need to give us aid, because that has been the greatest challenge of the developing economy. And that's what is making the developed economy think that you cannot do anything without us because we need to support you. So until we begin to say, look, I don't need your aid, I need the partnership. I need you to partner with us. Let it be a win-win situation rather than a win-loss situation if you decide to go. So that is when I think they could be this kind of meetings will begin to make good reasoning. But for now, I don't think it makes any good reasoning for me. It's a jamboree. It has happened all over through the years and nothing has changed. And I don't think this will be an exception.